Hey there guys, let's go ahead and create a Google form. I am in my drive, I am in my Chromebook 01 folder, so I'm going to place this particular form within that folder. So once I tap in this space here, I'm going to arrow over and I'm going to click on Google Forms. Let's just talk about a couple of the question types and titles. So here where it says you definitely want to title your document first. But here where it says question title, this is where you're going to put your actual question, like what is the color of? If you want to give an example of how you want that response to look, this is where help text come into play, and I'll show you an example of that. Now the question type, by default, multiple choice is your option. So you can change that particular option when you click on the down arrow, and you will see that text will be your short answer response. The paragraph text would be your more expanded response, multiple choice by default. Check boxes are where you can have more than one option. So you may ask in your help text area, you may say to the student, choose all that apply. Then you have choose from a list. Scale would be your rating. Grid is good for rubrics. You have the date. If you have a history question, what date did this occur, what time, things of that nature. And then you will click done once you have that. So here in the question area, you have edit question. And I like using the duplicate. I'll show you how I use that, or duplicate. Then you have the delete question. You can delete the question from your form, but it won't delete it from your form sheet. So this is why I tend to do my questions in a Google Docs first. That way I know exactly the questions I want, how I want them to look, and then I can add which question type this will be. So I know this is going to be a text box. I know that number 3 is going to be, they're going to be choosing from a list. And this will be checkbox, okay? So that's pretty much why I use Docs to do a rough draft. And when I'm working on common formative assessment with my colleagues, I definitely want to start out in this mode, and that way we can play with the questions and decide which ones we want to be first or last. Let's go ahead and create an actual form. This is pretty easy here when it comes to questions. Let's say I want to have them put in their last name, and it's going to be text because they're going to type their last name in. So I'm going to make this required. They will have to have their last name typed in before they can submit the form. Now I'm going to duplicate this because the next question is going to be very similar, but I'm going to change last to, that's right, first. And you see that that information was copied over to this question, and that was required. So it's going to be required. But now I actually want to show you how to insert an image into your actual question. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. And for the question, I want my question, remember I have my list that I've already created, so I'm just going to copy and paste my question there, changing my option, and I want this to be multiple choice so that my students are going to have to select one option, and I'm just pasting these there. Okay, now when it comes to my actual, remember we talked about the help text area. One thing that I may want for them to do when they get to this actual question here, I will more than likely say that you need to select your best answer, okay? And so that's how that's going to be clear for them. So now let's go ahead and click done here, but let's add an image, and I'm clicking on add item, and the item is going to be my image. So I have my URL, click on select, paste your image by URL, and I'm going to paste that URL there, and I'm going to select, give it a minute, and now you see where the image has populated here. I want to make this image smaller. It doesn't have to be this large. So click on the image, grab one of those corner anchors. Either anchor, doesn't matter. And I'm going to make that small. But I want to put it in the center. So with that said, now I want to make sure that they have clarity as to what they're going to actually be doing with this image. So I'm going to paste this particular information in here, where it says, use this image to respond to the above question. So they won't say, well, what's this image for? Now they know. And then when they hover over the actual image, they're going to see this information here. And you'll see how that looks in a live form. Who is this woman? So let's just go ahead and look at it in live view. And so we have our name. You see where the asterisk is? That's exactly those questions that are required, okay? And so when they hover over it, it's going to say, who is this woman? And so with that said, we'll go back to our form. You see where you see these dots at the top of a question and you see the crosshairs? You can move this particular question anywhere you like, all right? So if I move it here, it's going to land right there. But I don't want it there. I want it below this particular question. So I'm going to go ahead, grab that, and put it below. And you can move them around that way. And I already have a completed form here. So when you're looking at your completed form, let's just talk about this change my theme. And I can choose any theme. When you choose change theme over here, this panel will open. Let's say I want sunset. Click on that and you have your sunset theme, and here's all my questions here. Okay, so let's say if I change my mind with that, you'll get those. So you just will need to play with it and see what works best for you. So here is my completed form here. So you're looking at the completed form, and if you have any questions, please contact me.